Hey guys, I tell you what, there's a lot going on. Of course, Melbourne Cup. We've got Guy Fawkes night tonight, and in America, it is down to the wire, the 60th US president election to decide the 47th president. Work that out. Widely held to be the most powerful job in the world, and the 50th vice president. The candidates and their supporters are describing it as the most important election of their lifetime. With democracy and the American way of life at stake, record amounts of money has been raised and spent on campaigns and ground games, media coverage for print, TV, online, on podcasts, never been more intense or more polarised. So it's neck and neck, really, isn't it? Nick is a researcher. Great to have him back on the show. Nick Wright, who is the CEO of Centio Group in Australia. Researcher, political strategist who leads and executes successful data-driven election campaigns and has done this around the globe, including Britain, the EU, Australia, and here in Lilloa, New Zealand. And it's great to have him back on the show. Nick, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Leah. How are you?
I'm great. I thought you might have been at a Melbourne Cup soiree, but it sounds quiet where you are. What are you doing?
No, I'm tragic. I'm absolutely tragic. I'm focused on the greatest horse race on earth. Geez, I sound like Donald Trump now, don't I?
Oh, gosh, you did too. All right, Nick, look, the last I looked, Vice President Kamala Harris had a single-digit lead over former Pres Donald Trump in 4 new national polls. Again, it might have changed from since I've been on air, but 3 other surveys are a dead heat. So it's on a... I'm so blown away, Nick, how it's literally wafer thin between them, isn't it? A wafer thin cracker.
It is wafer thin.
It is wafer thin. Are you surprised by this?
No, and I can give you a really clear, simple reason why. Firstly,
Right.
I have spoken to people from both sides in advance of our chat because I just thought it would be interesting to give you a flavour of what the campaigns themselves are saying.
Right.
And they are both adamant that they've got this. Trump's campaign is saying neck and neck. The polls have always underestimated him, which is true. 2016, 2020, they massively tilted Democrat. Equally, the Harris campaign is convinced that they've got the momentum. You've got this poll in Iowa that everybody's talking about. So the atmosphere really is one of tension. But to your point about polls, the thing you need to remember is that the industry, of which we're a small part, is racked by insecurity and having perceived to have screwed it up for the last 2 cycles.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is called herding. And it's shocking that this will be to you, I'm sure. The people who publish their polls very often massage the numbers that they know everybody's going to look at by a point or 2 here or there because they don't want to be the outlier. And they don't want to be called out for completely screwing up the result. But that, of course, doesn't mean that what they're doing is right or a good preview of what we're going to see tomorrow.
Right. Both presidential candidates are holding multiple rallies on their last full day of campaigning in Pennsylvania, the largest of the 7 swing states. Is this likely to determine the result? It all lands there.
Well, possibly. If you let's run with the polls for a second. I've got them piled up in front of me. If you look at the...
You are a nerd.
the latest New York Times poll, well, and you can see this, and this may be herding in action or not, but the last couple that have been published have actually, particularly this one in Iowa, which, of course, Kamala Harris isn't going to win Iowa, but if you go a bit deeper into the questions, you do see some trends. But the New York Times poll, the only latest national poll that's just come out, if they're right, and they won't be because they're going to have margins of error, and this is the fun of statistics, Leah. But if they've called this correctly, Kamala wins I should say Vice President Harris, but literally by, I think it's 10 electoral college votes, which is 1 state. So yes, that could be Pennsylvania, but equally if they've got Michigan wrong, Georgia wrong. They're calling Arizona quite clearly for Trump, so that may be in the bag for him. But North Carolina, certainly wasn't thought to be in play when Joe Biden was still staggering on the stage. That's how tight the polls are saying it is.
Gee. If we look at how many have cast their vote, nearly 79 million Americans have already done that out of 161 and a bit million registered voters. Does the amount of people that have already voted, or conversely haven't, does that ever tell you anything?
About as much as consulting your astrologer, I reckon. But we could do it. I mean, the way. All right. If you want to hear, should we do the case for Trump and then the case for Harris?
Sure.
Because what the Trumpies have told me is that look at those early voting numbers. They've really, really closed the gap with the Democrats, and that's true. But ultimately, they're saying, look, this doesn't matter. All this soothsaying polls. He's won the Electoral College while losing the popular vote before. And the bottom line is that his issues are their top issues. It's the economy, immigration, it's America first. It doesn't matter that he's disliked. You've known what you're going to get from Trump for the last 10 years, so he can almost say what he wants and bypass the mainstream media, which I guess includes us, and look at the underlying... The key number for them is how many people think the country is going in the wrong direction, and that's by 2 to 1, saying we're going seriously off on the wrong track. That means we need a change. That means bring back Trump.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, Nick, because I mean it's hard to wade through what the policies can be due to the name calling and the social media memes and famous people they put in front of the cameras. But you mentioned the main issues that would decide the White House. You named economy. I think also democracy, yes. Abortion laws, I think, are going to be a big one, and immigration. But so is it too late in the game? How important is it to keep hammering home these to the public? Or like you said, Trump now can just say anything. He's not even bothered about talking about the economy.
I don't know if you saw his last tweet from last night in the States. So as America's going to bed, because they're going to wake up and vote tomorrow, I wish I was making this up, but he literally tweeted in block caps, "I was not performing oral sex on my microphone." So there you go. There you go, folks.
There's your answer.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And this is what Harris would say. It's not about policy. This is about personality. Kamala Harris is actually liked. She has a positive favorability rating, which hasn't happened in the United States since Burt Reynolds died. Donald Trump has, I think, and this is the real key, I think, Donald Trump has disrespected and angered women in a way that maybe they don't express, but they feel.